right, we are live. Excellent. Welcome, guys, to Office Hours for today. This is October 7th, 2015 for CSE 116, Section 601, the Distance Education section. Welcome you guys here, as always. I'm Josh, and I'll be your TA today. Dr. Schmidt should have just updated you guys with the grades for Project 2. Those have been recently posted. Hopefully you guys are taking some time to look over that. Overall, a very positive average, a good improvement from Project 1, which I'm very happy about, and so is Dr. Schmidt. So good on you guys. I love your animations. Those were really cool. I'm not going to pick out favorites, but yeah, I thought they were all really cool. You guys got really imaginative, so I thank you. That makes my life easy, and it's actually kind of cool to see what you guys make as compared to what like other students make. So that was actually really neat. So regarding those project grades, if you had any questions about discrepancies, maybe you thought something was graded wrong, maybe you ran check style again and you saw something that I didn't, please bring it up in the CSE 116 support email or email Dr. Schmidt or me directly, and we'll have that changed within the next couple of days, if not in the next few hours if I get on it. But while we're in office hours right now, if you have any questions regarding Project 3, I know that's going to be due sometime in the next week or so. So we can talk about that. If you have anything about assignments, homework questions, or just general questions that you may have, please feel free to shoot me an email. Again, the chat's a little wonky, so anything that you do post in the chat, I will get in my email. I'll make sure I keep checking that. So yeah, let's have a great office hours. I'm here until 3:30, so go ahead and ask away, guys. In the middle of office hours, DPW. What is your office? 6 to 7, but because we're going to be in a car from that time, I think probably around 4, maybe 4:15. All right. Where's all that data? I have no idea, but I'm in the middle of office hours, so please get it out. I have no idea where it is. You probably check Jaker or you might be with us in Ed, but I'm not sure. right, students, we've almost reached the 30-minute mark of office hours. Please continue to feed us questions, or if you have any questions, I should say, about assignments, homework, projects, anything in general, questions for me, maybe, please feel free to email me those or put them in the chat. We'll get them through my email, and I will respond to them as quickly as I can. So yeah, let's keep going. Really short, but it should be fine. What you do is comment it out. Jennifer. That's really helpful. Hammer Cody. Morning.
So you're not taking that home already.
Oh God, no! I'm getting my headphones.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So that's mom's coming at 4.
That's what Ted tells me. Although I have laundry in, so I may end up staying just a little bit over.
All right.
It shouldn't be too long. Like 4:10, 4:15 is just I think is what we're gonna get out. I haven't seen that, so I can't confirm anything.
I texted him.
Did you?
Okay.
Sounds good. You quit wrong. Thank you, Shirley. Captain, you are. All right, students, we have about 15 minutes left in office hours. Make sure you have your final questions or anything you want to ask regarding, content material, questions, concerns, comments about the project, anything related to the course in general, questions for me if you have any. And we'll get those answered in the next 15 minutes or so. So just keep those questions coming. We'll keep responding. Yeah, I would store the value as well. She's right on that. All right, students, we're getting down to the wire today for office hours. We have about 10 minutes left, so please get your final questions in at all if you have any. There was actually one thing I wanted to talk about, and I did save it up until the end. To just let you guys have the majority of the time to ask me questions if you had any. And one of the things I got from one of the students was the solution to the, what was it? The Lab 9's the text processing assignment. So I'm actually going to really quickly pull that up and kind of go over that. And the idea with text processing is we're usually reading in characters from a line of strings or just the string itself. So the main objective here is making sure that we can parse through all those strings and determine what we want to get out of it. That's kind of what you want to be thinking about when you go and read in strings, either from user integer based or I shouldn't say integer. Either from a user base, if they're interacting with the console, or you have something declared from, let's say, a client program coming in, which you don't have to worry about later, but it's kind of a good setup for that down the future. Let's see if I can find that. Lab 9. There it is. I can set this for you really quickly. So we'll go ahead and open up textprocessing.java, download it, and I'll open it up in Notepad++. We'll take a quick look at that for a minute. Okay, let's see here. Processing, open that up. All right. So we're looking at different methods how we can process a text processing class, just in this case. So first of all, we have the NC State Fight songs, which is a classic, obviously. And we have a bunch of other strings that we can print out. So the methods we are looking at here for our string processing is going to be count words, index of a string, which is going to say it's going to find the index of the number to find in the string. And then the final one is going to be string get word, which is going to be, it's going to find the number, whatever that nth word, the index word in string. And we're going to assume white space with that. And it's going to represent breaks between words, and there will only be one space between words using commas. So let's look at the first method really quickly. The first method is going to be count words. So it's going to count the number of words in a string and assume that white space is only white space character. So it's just going to be a space, and that space is going to represent the break between words. There will only be one space between words. So ensuring that the person who is entered in the console has done this correctly, we're going to parse through and check for spaces, which is going to be good. So the way we can think about doing this one is, the best way to think about doing this is if we're going to count words, we want to consider how many words the user is going to enter. So given the string, let's say count words red, white, we see that red, white has no spaces between it. So we know that when we're going to count the words, red and white, even though they're individual words, in this case the string red, white, since it has no space in between red and white, is going to be counted as one word. So the way we can think about this is parsing through characters is one way of doing it. And just making sure that's correct. Yeah. Oh, she's saying 46 there. That is weird. okay, never mind. I see what's going on. Okay, that was actually my bad. Yeah. So if we look at the very first print line statement that we actually have in our main method, system.add.println is going to be count words, red, white, and it's going to be plus using a string concatenation, count words, and we're going to pass in the parameter red, white, which is a string. Red, white contains the NC State fight song, go state, and what it's going to do, our expected output should be 46 words. So the way we want to think about processing this, like I said again, is going to be for every time we see a white space, that's going to denote that there's going to be another word there. So we're going to want to try to build some kind of loop that's going to process all the characters in the loop, I should say, and you can eliminate it that way. So if one way of doing it, as I'm explaining, is we could set up a character variable, call it character C, and we can use the .index method of the string in this case, and we can say it's at the index of, since we're counting the characters itself for the string, we can say the string is going to be between, or we can basically run through the string and we can use, there's a .contains method for the string. So anytime we run through the string, we can run through it all. And we'll say, anytime we find a white space in between any of the words, we're going to update our count. So that's one way of doing it. The next way, again, is by using characters. So we can declare a character variable C, run through the for loop for the length of the string. And then anytime we find a character because character is primitive, we can use comparison to equal signs to it. So we can do equivalence, which is great. We don't have to use equals because it's not an object. We can say if character at I, the position as we go through the string itself at index I, is equal to a space. And actually, this might be a little more accurate because you're going character by character, so you can double check. What that'll do is once it finds a character for the space, we'll update the count because we know by then that everything before it is part of one word, and that's good. We want that. So that should return 46 for that, which is awesome. Yeah, so I believe that returns, yeah, an integer count. So that'll be count. So that's two methods how you can do count words. So we could also do the next method being find the index of the number nth to find in string. So given that we have, if we look at our parameters, str being the string to examine, to find being the character defined in the string, param number being the repetition of to find defined in the string, the return index of the number nth to find the string, or -1 if it doesn't exist, and then throwing in a legal argument exception if the number is less than or equal to 0. So for the, let's say, or if we go back up in our methods, we can look at the character nth index of, and we'll say, in this case, it's going to be index of, if we look at the first one, it's going to be CSC, which we know is just going to be the capital letter CSC, standing for comp sci. We're looking for the character C, and we're looking at the very first index. Or actually, let's say it's going to be, if we're looking at 1 being the number represents, yeah. So basically, we're only going to find the first instance, given that we have a 1 passed in for that parameter number, that this occurs. That's probably going to be the last thing I talk about. So considering that this is the number we're going to find, what we want to think about is parsing the string again. So we can go character by character. I would recommend going character by character because if you do go by the elimination white space, that is a way of doing it. The problem is you're going to be examining the whole string, and you may end up missing the character. So I would declare a character variable and just call it ch if we have it, and we do. And we're going to split it up character by character, and we'll go through by a for loop. So again, we'll go through the length of the string. And in the for loop, we're going to check to make sure that if the character at that position, so you can say at that character index of whatever it's going to be, index of I, at that position is going to be equal to the character we're looking for, or equal to our toFind parameter. Then what we're going to do is we're going to say that's great, and then that's going to add, essentially what that would do is add a, hold on, actually, one sec. Yeah, if we were to find that character, we would add that to the count, and we would, or actually, no, what we would do is if we actually find it, so this is finding the index of it, my apologies. If we're finding the index of it, then what we do, the second we find that index, considering that we're only finding one of the indices, By that time, if we're within that range, then what we're going to do is return the index at I, essentially. So it's going to be return index of I, which is going to be, in that case, is going to be I itself. The biggest thing about this is going to be, if we were just normally processing the first instance that the character appears, then we would do that. The problem is we have to consider that when the user types any n number of variables for the string. So again, let's say, given our CSC example, we can look at, I'm just going to sign into something really quickly. We can look at the method and pass in, let's say I want to find C twice. So C is going to be delimited by, it's going to be C, S, and C. So we have one C and an S and then another C. So we can still go through the for loop character by character and determine where that next C is. We're going to need to make sure that when we go through it, though, that we're updating based on the number of times we're trying to find that character. So you're going to want to make sure that your for loop goes through enough times. And that's basically just, we can actually assert that, we can actually say, we can set up a count variable for that as well. That's kind of another, it's a little more complicated way of doing it, but that works. And then in doing so, what that ensures is that once we find, let's say, if we find two instances of that, that'll return those two instances, or the indices of those two instances, if we're finding those. And that's only applicable if the program finds the two indices of that. So that's another way of doing it. Yeah, so let's see. On string, return index. Yeah, so actually, a small correction on that. I kind of misled you guys. So that number parameter, as it turns out, is actually just a means of checking how many times we go until we return that index. So again, if we pass in 1, if we look at CSC again, it should return 0 for the first index because that's where the first instance of C is in there. If we put a 2 in there, however, we can see that at the second instance that C appears, it's going to be at index 0, 1, 2. Remember that when we count strings, we always start with the first element being 0 and increment positively. So 0, 1, 2, the second C is going to be at position 2. That should return an int 2. So that's what we should be looking for. So that covers that. And just real quickly before I finish up, I'm going to go over the other one, just kind of give you an idea of what you could have done as well. We also have count words, or sorry, we just went our index up, and then string get word. So what we can do here is we can do, we can also delimitate by white space, which is another way to do it. Now we don't have to specifically, but we can. So based off of white space characters, we can separate that as a new string. So we can go through continuously and add that to a string until we find a white space. And then we can look at that string individually within a second loop, return that string out. And basically parsing through all those strings, once we get that string that we want to look at, throughout the entire string, we can use a dot contains. So we can actually say if the string, in this case, dot contains whatever string we're putting in there. If that equals the string we're looking for, so it's going to be dot equals because we're dealing with a string object. If that string dot equals that string, whatever we're looking for, then what we can do is we can return the index number. And the idea is, or sorry, we're actually going to return that word at that string. So yeah, so yeah, instead of, so I'm really getting confused. Yeah, so instead of for that number itself, what it is if we are looking through the strings at that number, let's say, for example, the fifth word in red and white is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is going to be white. So we're the red and white. White is going to be the fifth word. That's the one we want to return. So we're returning the word at that index. So it's going to be index at I, get that word out. So again, that's just another way of thinking about it. Again, for loops are your best friend. There is a way to do this with a while loop, although I wouldn't recommend it because we know how long the length is. So for your for loop, the elimination for the declaration would be the string.length, essentially. So whatever that string parameter is going to be, I believe it is string str.length. And it'll parse through that as many times, and if we can find that word at that fifth index, you can do it that way, essentially. Sometimes you don't even need the for loop. So actually, for this one, you can do it without the for loop too, where it's just you can do the string.index of whatever that's going to be, and then you can do it that way, or index ahead. So that's a couple ways to do it. So I did go over a little bit of time. Hopefully that answers some of the text processing questions for you guys. If not, please shoot me an email, and I can also send you some ideas of how you could approach it. And thank you for joining me at office hours as usual. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Alex will be covering office hours like usual for the next couple of days. So enjoy, guys. And if you have any other further questions, please feel free to ask me. Project 3, I believe, is due next Friday, so make sure we're all up to date on that. I will be holding office hours at my normal time next week, and I'm sure we'll be getting a lot of questions, especially on Friday. So have a great week, guys. Bye.